Hi and welcome to another video here on my channel Morbid History. Today we're gonna talk about one of the worst, the worst mass murders in Swedish criminal history. It'll be a wild ride, so let's jump straight on into it. It's 8 in the morning by a lake called Bossarpsjön, 22nd of August 1952. The police are on a hunt. They find a green little car parked right next to the water. Out in the lake they see a tiny boat, but it's empty. Soon they will find who they're looking for at the bottom of said lake. And how did we get to this point? The 7th of January 1927, a boy named Tore Hedin was born to parents Per and Hilda in a small town in Skåne, the southern parts of Sweden. This boy would grow up to be a large figure. He was at an adult age seen as a big imposing man. And therefore he also took that strength to become a police officer in a nearby little town called Tjörnarp. Everything pointed to him being a very good police. The people in Tjörnarp really liked him and he seemed to do his job very well. Tore liked to bike around in this little village and just be the best cop he could be, I'm guessing. In November 1951, Miller Johan Nilsson, aged around 30, sadly passed away in a fire. But when the police came there and looked, they found him lying across his bed in a weird position and he was missing his wallet and watch. One of the policemen at the scene was of course Tore. He was actually friends with the man who had sadly passed. The police of course found it all suspicious and started a manhunt for not only a pyromaniac, but also a cold-blooded murderer and a thief. Johan Nilsson had on him 5,000 Swedish kroner the night of the murder. And these monies were all gone, vanished. They could also, of course, see on his body that he had took an axe to his head. That kinda points in one direction, doesn't it? The press had a field day with the murder, because morbid curiosity has always been a thing. So here we have a lot of pictures of Tore investigating the crime scene. There's one famous picture of him and a psychic called Olof. Here Olof is holding the rifle of the murdered victim with Tore next to him. Tore enjoyed the popularity it gave him being flashed around in the news like this. He, with almost generosity, talked to anyone who wanted to listen, and he was interviewed in the newspapers. And yeah, one eyewitness had seen someone at the crime scene during the night, and this person had a uniform. But the time went and the case became cold. They did not find the murderer. Let's run forward about 6 months. Tore had a girlfriend called Ulla Östberg. She was a tiny dark-haired beauty, and they got engaged in March of 1952. She soon started to think that maybe I should not be engaged to this man, Tore. Tore was a bit aggressive. So Ulla did break off the engagement, yay! And she had actually been abused by Tore. She even went to the police to tell them all about it. Like, you know, one of your police officers is an abusive shit. But they were having none of it. Tore was seen as a perfect gentleman by the other policemen, and they just laughed her off and sent her on her way. This would prove to be a giant mistake. Her going and trying to cancel his policemanship would only make Tore even angrier. He already thought that she had deceived him by not marrying him, and he just upped his abuse. In the 21st of August 1952, he actually went home to Ulla and beat her, threatened her life, put handcuffs on her, and was generally being extremely abusive and terrible. Yeah, he was being the jerkiest of jerks ever. One night, the 22nd of August 1952, would go to history as Hurvamorden, the Hurva murders, the biggest mass killing in Swedish criminal history. First, Tore went his way to his childhood home. He had brought an axe. During the evening, he went in and axed his parents to death. He then burned the entire house down. He stayed a while and just watched the fire go. He wanted to make sure that it really was gonna burn down. When he felt sure of what he had done, he went his merry way to Hurva. In Hurva was a retirement home, but not any old retirement home. No, Ulla worked and lived inside of this retirement home. By this time, it was after midnight. Tore broke the window into Ulla's room where he thought that he would find her. She wasn't there. Being scared of what Tore would do after last day's escapades, she had gone to sleep in her matron's room, Agnes, 54 years old. But Tore guessed that that would be where she would go, so he took himself to Agnes' room and, you could guess it, hit them both to death with the axe. When he was sure that they both had been cancelled in their life subscription, well, dead, he went to the second floor, because Agnes, the matron's room, was actually on the second floor. He went to the first floor and set it all ablaze, and then he went outside and barricaded the doors. This would make sure that 5 more people died. These were some elderly patients of the retirement home. This night, Tore had killed his parents, Per and Hilda. He had murdered his ex-girlfriend, Ulla, her matron, Agnes, and 5 elderly patients would also be found dead. I'm gonna read their names out of respect. The elderly who burned to death were Nils Larsson, Maria Nilsson, Bengta Andersson, Elna Andersson, och Maria Pettersson. And now we're back at the beginning. It's early morning, and Tore takes his green little car and drives to a lake nearby. He writes a letter, places it under 2 giant sausages for some reason, which the cops later find inside of said car. In the letter, he not only confesses to murdering Ulla and Agnes and the elderly and his parents, he also confesses to murdering his friend Johan the year before. He had done it because he needed money. That takes the total amount of people that Tore killed up to 10. When he's written his letter, that I'm gonna read a piece of soon in Swedish for you, he steps out of his car, walks to a tiny little boat and ties a bunch of rocks to him, and jumps into the lake, effectively drowning himself. He was a suspect as soon as the cops came to the murder scene, because he knew Ulla, and Ulla had been telling them what an idiot he was, and now she had paid with her life, along with a bunch of other innocent people. Under the sausages they find his letter, and it reads: Telefonen ringer, polisen springer och letar efter mig, men mig hittar de ej. Min övergivna bil har ni hittat nu, och det är ju ändå något. Och vill ni gissa en gåta, så leta i det våta ifall ni tror att jag är där. He wrote that as a riddle. And then he goes on in this kinda long suicide note about killing his friend Johan, his parents and everything, and how he decided to not only kill himself but Ulla because he thought that she had deceived him. He killed his parents because they wouldn't have to deal with having a murderer for a son, and the rest were, I guess, the rest were innocent people who just happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. He ends his note with: Nå, nu är klockan 4 den 22 augusti 1952 och nu slutar jag detta och min sorgliga levnad i hopp om att bli förstådd och förlåten av dem som kan och har möjlighet och lust därtill. Glad, lugn och beredd går jag in i döden, ty allt har nu uppfyllts. Ty nu är allt uppfyllt. Tore Hedin, mördare. And yeah, that's the end of this episode. Please, 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 please let me know what you thought in the comments. I love reading them. I bet you can tell that all I think is that Tore was a giant ass. He was 25 when he died. And he must have been some kind of psychopath. Ulla was sadly only 23 when he went in and killed her with that axe. Agnes was 54, her matron. And I hope they all rest in peace, except Tore. So yeah, thanks for watching, you're all amazing. I actually just opened a merch store at Fourth Wall. I'm gonna link it down there, and as soon as I get my orders that I made, I'm really happy with the way I designed them. I'm gonna show them off here, of course. And if you wanna buy anything, please send me pics of whatever you bought, because I wanna see. It's the Extreme Hermit mode merch, I guess, because I'm an extreme hermit. I'll also link my Patreon for anyone who enjoys what I do and want to support me further. I do a lot of exclusive content there. I also have a Ko-fi if anyone just wants to donate and support that way. Like, there you can do one-time donations. So yeah, I'm gonna do the little Patreon roll here. thanks for being my besties, and thanks for everything, all the comments and enjoying what I post there and supporting me and my channel, because yeah, this channel is one of the best things in my life, and supporting me on Patreon really helps. Thank you. Like, comment, subscribe, please share the video if you liked it, and yeah, just like the video. I mean, if everyone who watched it and enjoyed it likes, can we see how many we can get? Oh yeah, I've seen people say that, and I don't know if it helps, but can we see how many likes we can get? Either way, I'll see you in my next video, and I don't know if maybe tomorrow or one day, for my patrons at least, I'm gonna read some out of a new book I got from my wishlist. So stay tuned for that, my patrons, and I'll see you next time. Bye!